Is there a time in your life when you heard your name being called, but when you asked, you found out that nobody called you, but you were sure you heard your name? Alright, this is going to be a thrilling story. Welcome to An Escape Hub, a place where stories comes live. If this is the first time you are bumping into our videos, give us a subscribe and do not forget to give us a thumbs up. Now let's dive in. There was a boy named Kelechi, curious, sharp-tongued and fearless. In Umuora village, everyone knew one rule: never go near the forest after midnight. Not during festivals, not during funerals, not even if fire came from it. But Kelechi wasn't like the others. One harmattan night, when the air was still and dry, and even the crickets refused to sing, the talking drum began. Not just rhyme, it called his name, once, twice, then in his mother's voice. Kelechi, my son, come. He sat up in bed. His mother had died 3 years ago. The sound came from the edge of the forest. His uncle, the blind hunter, stood at the doorway, gripping his staff. If you move an inch, you will never return the same, he warned. That drum doesn't summon the living, it collects the proud. But pride is louder than warning, and Kelechi stepped outside. What he saw was a crowd of faceless dancers, pounding drums that echoed like heartbeats. They wore his mother's wrapper, his father's laughter, his own face. They offered him kola nuts. He chewed. Then the drum stopped. Morning came. Kelechi returned. But he was not Kelechi. He smiled too much, spoke with no echo, and every mirror in the house cracked when he walked past. The elders said, he answered the drum, now he beats for them. Curiosity may open doors, but not every door has a way back. And if you ever hear your name in the night, ask yourself, who taught the forest your name? But Kelechi came back. He ate, he smiled, he even greeted elders with respect he never had before. Everyone in the village knows Kelechi as a proud person that doesn't have any respect for anybody, be it the elderly ones. Could it mean that the visit to the spirits turned him to good? We will find out. But one night, Mama Ojima, the oldest woman in Umuora, whispered to the chief, that boy is not breathing when he sleeps. They watched. True, Kelechi never blinked, he never yawned, and his shadow didn't follow him in sunlight. The priest was called. He sprinkled water and threw cowries. His face turned pale. He is no longer owned by this land, he said. You buried Kelechi, but what returned was a drowned spirit in skin. That night, children in the village heard it, the drum. But this time, it wasn't calling a name. It was beating from inside their houses, inside their mirrors, inside their dreams. One by one, people began to vanish. Only at night, only after they heard the drum, and always after saying it's just a dream. But the old ones knew. The drum was no longer in the forest. It was walking the village, wearing Kelechi's face. The village had lost 6 people. Each one vanished after hearing the drum inside their sleep. And every morning, Kelechi walked past the shrine, barefoot, smiling like someone who had forgotten pain. But then, Adora returned from the city. Kelechi's childhood friend. The only one who ever beat him in wrestling and in proverbs. She looked into his eyes. She didn't smile. You are not Kelechi, she said. You chew cola with your left hand. He was right-handed. He grinned and whispered, maybe I learned some things in the dark. She went straight to the priest. They said the only way to bring him back was to show him what he left behind. The priest prepared a sacred calabash. Inside was water from his mother's grave, earth from his footprints, and a shade of the mirror that cracked when he returned. They waited until moonrise. Adora called him. Kelechi, If there's still a thread of you in there, look. He laughed at first. Then he looked, and the drumming stopped. He dropped to his knees, gasping, like someone who had been underwater for years. He cried for the first time in months. His voice returned. His shadow realigned, but his eyes, they would always carry something else. This taught him a very huge lesson. As he hears from the villagers what has happened in the village. Because the only thing he could remember is what happened before the night he heard the drum. The night he heard the drum call his name. And this leaves us with a moral lesson. Even if the forest calls your name, you don't have to answer. Not every invitation is meant for you. But if you ever lose yourself, there is power in someone who remembers who you were. They say the drum still plays for the curious, but the wise, they learn to dance to silence.